Bruno, welcome in the Netherlands. How's it to be here in Assen?
Oh, it's always a pleasure. It's my second time here. First time I drove a GT3 McLaren and Johan Zarco was on the track with his MotoGP bike at the same time, so that was like really special. And this time, of course, really cool having this car on this track. I wish I was able to drive it, but unfortunately today Chris will be driving it for me, and I'll enjoy it from the outside.
Yeah, Chris is an old mechanic, right, from Ayrton?
Yeah, lucky guy. I mean, he got to work with Ayrton, work on this amazing car together with Classic Team Lotus, and he's getting to drive the car today in front of a really nice crowd, so I think he's going to represent us very well.
How is it to see somebody so close to Ayrton as well drive this car and it not being you?
You know, it's every time there's a tribute to Ayrton, we appreciate it, you know, in my family, and Chris being so close and such a great guy as well really fills us with joy, because you know he was there when with all of Ayrton's triumphs with Lotus, and he's been there, and he's a passionate guy, and I think he deserves enjoying himself a little bit in this car that he built. The last time I drove it, I broke it. I didn't break it, but I broke it, let's say.
What happened?
Something failed on the oil pump, and the car broke down. So they had to rebuild the car in the last few months, and the car is being rebuilt. So it's a brand new engine. The engine is very nice and running amazingly well. I think the engine sound is going to make everybody's hairs stand up on their arms.
Of course, it definitely will. How is it to step in those cars, you know, those old turbo cars, those cars from the 80s, from the 90s? It's a very special feeling, especially if it's one of your uncle.
It's a very raw experience, very different from the modern cars that we are used to, and we are also very spoiled by. You know, modern cars are ergonomically comfortable, they are easy to drive, they're consistent. These cars, they are raw, they have like lots of rough edges, so you need to like drive around these things to extract everything out of the car. They have a huge amount of power, and you just have to like feel it and go. So it's for sure it's a very different experience from driving modern cars, and we get to experience it, and wow, it gives us like lots of.
So you don't drive the car, but the car drives you.
Kind of like this. You have to tame the beast, otherwise it will throw you away. But you know, at the same time, it's a bit of an art. And when you see the guys driving them on the limit for a Grand Prix distance, every time I drive one of these things, it gives me more respect for them. Yeah.
Of course, your own road to Formula One was a bit different. Of course, in '94, your uncle passed away. A year later, your dad passed away in a motorcycling accident. And in 2004, you re-entered motorsport also through Joe Ramirez. How important was his role in your further development to Formula One?
Wow, I think Joe and Gerhard Berger were, you know, so important for my career. They really allowed me to go into motor racing in Europe. They helped me a lot, and they fast tracked a lot of my steps, because you know, normally you start in go-karts, you do years in go-karts, then you start in the cars. I went straight to cars without ever competing in go-karts, which is a huge leap, especially if you go into Formula 3 level racing right at the start. So challenging, but you know, gave me a good career. I managed to race in F1 for a few years, and was successful in many different types of series, including endurance. So with a very unorthodox path, I managed to be successful in racing, and I get to drive some of these amazing things as well, so I can't complain too much.
Awesome. Your first year, of course, was 2010, but it could be a little bit earlier if that bronze seat was for you. How close was it?
It was very close. We after the test I did with Honda in Barcelona in 2008, there was a contract being exchanged, so there was already something that was moving forward. Of course, things changed very quickly when Honda pulled out. We still tried to get the seat at Brown, and unfortunately Rubens took the seat, which is of course the safe option with Ross, but that would have been a very different debut in F1 in 2009 with a championship winning car.
Instead of the HRT.
Instead of the HRT in 2010. So, but you know, it's life, and I still feel very privileged to be able to race in F1 after all. I mean, I missed 10 years of any racing when I was.
Yeah, the most important years. Eh? Yeah.
So to be able to reach F1 and score points and be competitive was already a real privilege, and not many people can get there. So I'll take this.
What I loved about your racing career in Formula 1 was the 2012 season with the Williams. You scored, in 10 races you scored points. Passo Maldonado only scored 5, but of course,
He had a win.
He won the race in Spain. He also had to give the car 15 times to Valtteri in FP1. How much pace did that cost you?
I think mostly qualifying, because we ended up focusing a lot on race pace. Had 2 sets of tires less than everybody else every weekend almost. So it was tricky. I mean, Formula 1, you don't need any handicaps in Formula 1, and I had 15 races with a handicap. So a lot of this has probably played a bit of a game in my head, and managed not to focus on the right things. I think with more experience I would have been able to overcome some more difficulties, but missing a lot of practice time, over 30% of my practice time was missed by that. So it was surely missed, but in the races I had good pace, and managed to score points from not ideal starting positions. So a little bit more practice would have been better. A few more positions in front in qualifying, I think would have been better.
A very fruitful career in WEC later on. Now the cars also from 2010, 2012, vastly different cars that we have today. Of course, this season couldn't be more spectacular, even after last race in Zandvoort where Piastri won, you're still team ambassador from McLaren. How do you see that championship battle unveiling?
Wow, it's tough. I mean, when you have 2 drivers in the same team fighting for the championship tooth and nail, it's in the beginning of the championship it's always a bit more amicable. I wonder what it will be like unless one of them gets a real big advantage. I wonder what it will be like in the last few races where they're really fighting harder, because winning a championship is not something you can be comfortable that you're going to get the opportunity the next year, especially next year where you have a different rule set. So yeah, I think both young guys are going to be pushing very hard for it, and fingers crossed they don't spoil themselves too much in the last few races.
If you were, my last question, if you were in a casino right now, who would you put your money on?
I think Piastri has the upper hand now. He's been racing very consistently, and his ability to soak up pressure is very impressive, especially considering how young and how many years he has in F1. But we never see him fighting for a championship at this level. So at the end, I think if there was a couple of problems with his car and Lando is in front, I think there will be more aggression and more mistakes to be happen. So at the moment, I'll give it to Oscar, but don't discount Lando for sure.
Still 10 races to go.
Absolutely.